Welcome to A Call to Healing. I'm your host, Melanie McDaniel. Today's guest is Shayna Blackmar, a Reiki master, a sound healer, and a galactic shaman who blends traditional techniques with expanded approaches to support deep, energetic, and emotional clearing. Shayna's journey began in the physical realm as an aesthetician, where she first noticed her sensitivity to others' energy, an awareness that led her into Reiki, sound healing, and eventually into more advanced shamanic practices. In this conversation, we explore how sound influences the body, what it means to move energy versus hold it, and how simple tools like mantras and forgiveness can create profound shifts in our daily lives. A Call to Healing is sponsored by Senavida, a platform helping practitioners spend more time in service and less time in the back office. This conversation opens a lot of doors, so let's dive in. Okay, Shayna Blackmar, so happy to have you here. Thank you for being on A Call to Healing.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting.
Yes. So we are going to talk about all your magic. You have lots of magic to share, focusing on some sound. I know you're a Reiki master and stuff in the galactic space and other things. So let's get first just a background of who you are, where you came from, how you got to this healing modality, the stuff that you work with now.
Yeah, so I didn't grow up or know anything about energy healing or anything in that, metaphysical world, and became an esthetician. Gosh, it was like 20 years ago now, and started noticing I would just be exhausted after sessions. I would be feeling things that my clients were saying they were feeling in their bodies. And so that led me down the road of learning about being an empath and what that means and protecting my energy and that kind of thing. And so a few years into that, a client told me about Reiki because I didn't know what that was either. It was all new to me. And it was one of those things where I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to know all about that right now. So I went and became a Reiki master, like pretty much immediately, like within 3 months. But just did it on friends and family for a long time. And then it would come through during facial services. And probably another 5 years down the road, during that time I was doing my own personal healing work and going through various things. And about 5 years later, I started really focusing on that just way more and working with a mentor and doing either weekly or every other week sessions, just wanting to move forward, tired of being stuck, basically, like feeling like it just wasn't enough kind of thing. And through that all of that self-healing, the Reiki, the light, the energy was flowing through so much stronger that Spirit was coming through saying, okay, you need to share this with more people now. It's time. Like, stop waiting. So then I was really focusing on doing the, how to build that business and do Reiki and share that with more people. And it came through to add sound healing, which was interesting because my first experience with the sound bath was not enjoyable. So I was surprised that it came through for me to learn more about that. But I'm so glad I did because it blows me away all the time. It's so amazing for myself, for clients. Like, it just is limitless. So incorporated the sound healing into my Reiki practice. And then a couple of years ago, just really felt called to shamanism and didn't find what I was looking for and just kept searching. And finally I found what I was looking for, and it was Galactic shamanism. So different from Earth shamanism. And it was just, I basically realized that's what I'm here to do. And I also realized that my Reiki practice had evolved, and I was just naturally, it was coming through. I was doing shamanic practices in my Reiki services, but I didn't even know that. So that allowed, doing that Galactic shamanism training allowed me to strengthen the Reiki to, adjust it to more of a shamanic Reiki session or experience that's just broader, deeper, working more with patterns and just clearing the past, so that you can fill up with more light, more of yourself, that kind of thing. So here I am.
Beautiful. So I want to pull a few things out of your past to get us here to the future. So as an esthetician, and since we talk about all things body, mind, and spirit, what are a couple things we can pull from your knowledge as an esthetician to give to the listeners that they can start working with, or at least be aware of from that point of view?
Just taking self-care, taking care of yourself. Yeah. I love to do a gentle exfoliation pretty much every day or every other day for the face, and then at least a couple times a week for the body, because our cells, the older we get, the longer it takes for them to rejuvenate, reproduce. And so there was always this really beautiful image that I remember in one of my eminence trainings of, when we're young, our skin cells are like grapes. They're nice and juicy and plump, and by the time we're, I forget the age, but it was like 50 or 60, those lovely grapes turn into, little raisins, and even cornflakes, just flat and thin and dry. And so sloughing off those dead layers really helps with a number of things. One, your skin looks brighter, fresher, smoother, feels better. It's also able to be more hydrated, because then the products you are using to hydrate, if your skin's really dry, they can penetrate a lot better too. So gentle exfoliation daily or every other day is definitely what I do and recommend for, when I was giving facials.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
very useful. Okay, so moving into Reiki. What is like classical Reiki? Where does it come from? And then how is Galactic or whatever you call it now, Reiki, like how is it different from classical?
Yeah, so I trained in the Usui practice tradition, and it is out of Japan. And I know there are some other kind of branches off of that each have their own, specific patterns and things that they use. So the Usui is very basic. It's very relaxing, which is really beautiful, even if you've been doing more advanced work, because any kind of work that you're doing, the body has to be receptive to it for it to be effective. So the nervous system has to be relaxed. The body has to soften and settle for any sort of healing to be able to be received. So traditional Reiki is fantastic, no matter what else you've done or can do. Like, it's really, really beautiful. And typically someone will lay on a table or a floor, or all of this work can be done long distance as well, because you're connecting with that person's higher self. So geography doesn't matter. And if they're in person, they typically don't touch. The hands kind of hover over, and you just go from basically head down to toe, spending a few minutes with each section of the body until the practitioner gets some sort of cue to move on, either whether they're going by organ or by chakra, that kind of thing. They'll get some sort of cue depending on how they receive their information, either by feel, or if they see something or hear something. Okay, now time to move on to the next. And they'll just keep going down. And it helps, and the energy goes where it needs to go. So you can't do too much or too little, essentially. And it's similar to sound in that your body is being sound healing. Your body is being flooded and surrounded in these high frequency energies that are coming in, because the practitioner is a conduit of light. So it's just flowing through, going where it needs to go. The body knows what it needs. And what I'm doing now, the shamanic Reiki, is different in that some of the practices that come through are from different various galactic beings. Like some are Pleiadian, some are Lyran, some are Syrian, and everything that comes through, because I'm connecting with their higher self and source directly, is what they need at that time. So we're clearing out past programs. Sometimes there's a soul retrieval, things like that are not part of traditional Reiki.
Awesome. Well, probably I'll dig into a little deeper with that, but I want to go into the sound healing. So you kind of touched on it. I met you through sound. I attended one of your, because there's not all sound baths are created equal, I will say. And you like formally trained sound healers, it's just a different experience. Yours was just a different experience. I could tell you were formally trained. I want to like really like dig into this, the sound, what a sound bath versus sound healing is. Can it be targeted? Like, yeah, I just want to really dig into kind of the science behind it. And I know not everything is science. Something it's more spiritual or something. But yeah, I want to go down every rabbit hole we possibly can with sound.
Fun. Okay, let's do it. So sound healing it's not new. It's new to us, but it's been, I think, in every single ancient culture in some form, whether through bowls, different instruments, chanting, and you're basically being surrounded in higher healing frequencies, specific healing frequencies. Like the instruments that are used in sound healing are tuned to 432 hertz or 528 hertz that are specific healing frequencies. Miracle tones of nature, things are in balance. They're healing the cells, the DNA. And essentially sound healing works because everything is matter, right? Everything is vibrating at its own frequency. And if you've got a, say a damaged cell that's vibrating at a lower frequency because it's damaged for whatever reason, if you're surrounding it in higher healing frequencies, then the cells and the DNA are in this bubble container where they can heal itself. The body can heal itself when in healing conditions.
I'm assuming it's like if it's at a low frequency and you're sending a sound at a higher frequency, it will resonate, attune.
It's called coming up into coherence, where they come up into, the more sound healing we do, like it's cumulative essentially, because you're then able to come up higher and higher and higher until you're in coherence with that frequency that you're surrounded by. So
yeah. Can we talk about some of the different instruments? Because I feel like, I've been to a number of your sound healings now, and I feel you have a specific flow. There's a reason you start with Tibetan singing bowls, or actually, whatever. You can go through it however much you want to share, because each instrument has a different frequency, and so I'm assuming there's a reason it goes the way it goes.
Yeah, so I was trained, and I like the flow that in the training that I received. I feel it works really well to do the first part of a sound bath. So a sound bath versus sound healing is where you're just receiving different sound instruments for a given amount of time, 30 minutes, an hour, maybe 90 minutes. So I usually start with drum, gong, Tibetan bowls for the first half, because they're all tuned to 432 hertz. So it's actually the same frequency, but they work differently in the body, in the organs, in the chakras. They're much more, they break things up. They're not as subtle, right? You can really physically feel more movement with those. So I use those in the first half because they're breaking up densities, they're breaking up blockages. And the gong specifically is called the sound of the universe. It's just this beautiful, beautiful sound. It does so many things, either as if you're playing it or receiving it. It balances the brain. It kind of shuts off the brain so that you're not thinking as much. You can just relax. It allows the nervous system to relax. Again, like to receive that healing, the nervous system has to be relaxed. The Tibetan bowls, they're tuned to the different, they're still 432 hertz, but each one is a different note that correspond to the different chakras. So those are, breaking up blockages, breaking up things in the chakras specifically, not just all the tissues. And then like in the last sound bath that we did a few days ago, it was really beautiful because it was a small sound bath, so we were able to customize it and actually put the Tibetan bowls on your body. And that just, I mean, you talk about that if you want. It just, you feel it everywhere. It's incredible.
Yeah, we use the root chakra bowl for mine, and oh my gosh, my whole pelvic bowl was just vibrating, and yeah, I could feel it was getting deep inside the tissues of that area for sure. And we were using mantras. Let's talk about mantras because those are, people don't think of them as sound, but they're a big player in sound for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the nice thing about the Tibetan bowl on the body is when you're striking, you're literally breaking up densities and blockages, right? You're also breaking up programming. You're breaking up distortions. And then what we do is replace it with higher vibrational truths that you ideally are aligning to, right? So things like, I am loved, I am healthy, I am worthy, I am supported, I am protected. And I usually go through a whole big list because we're anchoring those into all the chakras so that you then are realigned to those higher truths and you can hold it when they're programmed in and received. So
I feel with so we're still in the first half, right? With the gongs, the drum, and the Tibetan bowls. I don't completely understand hertz and waves and all the things, but I feel like those ones like push their way in. You can feel them, especially the drum. You just feel it's like tangible. I mean, you can feel all the
yeah,
other too, but it's like forcing its way in almost, and I guess that's how the breakup is happening.
exactly. It's like I don't want to use the word aggressive, but
Yeah, I know.
there's more of a visceral, physical feel as the waves are you're just being flooded, inundated with
Yeah,
these sound waves.
the waves are tangible. You can feel them, and are they bigger waves than the other waves?
Yes, that's what
Okay.
I'm hearing, why they're more visceral. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
let's move on to the second half and why the second half is the second half.
Yeah. So, second half, so first half, we were essentially creating space, clearing out densities, clearing out low vibrations, clearing out blockages. And then the second half, we fill up that space with higher frequencies. So, do 432 hertz crystal bowls. And those are, there's ones for each of the seven chakras, and those are working with the chakras as well, but it's more on a subtle level. And I guess because like what we just we're talking about, the waves are a little bit smaller, more fine tuned. So yeah, and then I also use a crystal pyramid after that, and that is tuned to 528 hertz, so a higher frequency, filling you up even higher. And that frequency, the 528 hertz, works specifically with spheres and spirals. So you're getting deep cellular DNA rejuvenation. And that one is so beautiful because they can spin it over each person and it creates their own personal healing vortex. It just feels amazing. So spin those all around everybody, and then a 528 crystal bowl as well, just to continue the healing, activating dormant DNA. And then at the end, kind of let everybody relax and integrate with these really beautiful Canary chimes. Oh, I forgot I used Koshi chimes in
Yeah, the
there
Koshi.
in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And those balance the elements. And it's a nice transition to between the first and the second part of the sound bath. And then, yeah, I love the Canary chimes at the end. They sound like water, and it's just like, okay, I can relax. I've done all this work for the past hour. Now I can just relax and receive and
We're
integrate.
all
And
hard work. Laying there.
exactly, exactly. But it's so rejuvenating. But yeah, you've been working in the most relaxed way.
No, there's something about it. I mean, first of all, gongs make me very sleepy, and I'm assuming that's just because it's doing such deep work, and you just don't know. We don't
Well,
know
and
how.
it balances left and right, and it basically like makes the left and right hemispheres of the brain go so fast that they kind of have to stop.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It makes you stop, which
Makes
makes you fall
you,
asleep eventually.
or like, just can't think. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just here. Yeah, that's why.
yeah. And then the crystal bowls at the end, I feel them as I feel like the drums and the gong with the big waves. I feel them like specifically in my eardrums. Like they're just going crazy. Do you know why? Like the whoa, 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 whoa when it goes like um do you know why it's I mean maybe I'm the only one, but
I'm hearing it's activating things inside you when you hear it like that.
okay.
Yeah.
It's only the crystal bowl. Well, I mean, I guess the Tibetan can if it's going long enough. But I get it really a lot with the crystal bowls.
Yeah. You've been primed and ready at that point.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So tell me how you say you do now the sound with the Reiki, which makes sense now. I'm assuming sound is first and Reiki second because the sound calms and then they can receive the Reiki, or what is that? How does that those two go together?
Yes. So I incorporate a little bit at the beginning and a little bit at the end. Similar concept to the sound bath that we were just talking about, where I'll do the drum and a Tibetan bowl on the body at the beginning to break things up, get things moving. Sometimes people get warm or feel like they want to shift as things are starting to move. And then go through the body, do the Reiki, do whatever healing modalities come through, and then at the end, fill up that space that's been created with the higher frequencies. I'll do the 528 crystal bowl and the crystal pyramid, and sometimes a little Tibetan bowl too, just for like a nice transition.
And when you said the modalities, does someone come to you and they say, I need a soul retrieval, or do they just come and you kind of figure out what they need?
We spend usually the first few minutes talking about what is going on, if they have specific intentions, physically, emotionally, mentally, with their life, with their relationships, whatever it is. Or if they're not sure and I have quite a few clients who come regularly because they just want to keep their vibration high, whether it's to prevent illness or they're focused on their ascension or whatever it is. That's their priority. And so we just tune into what's coming up today and just do what their higher self says they're ready for at that time. So every session's a little bit different, but a little bit the same. There's a little sound healing and there's Reiki, but we may do it in different ways in the middle, depending on what they need that day.
And you mentioned their higher self, and you have a gift. Can we talk about that gift, how you figured it out and what it is where you can communicate directly with higher self, but also even source?
Yeah, that's kind of a funny story. I've always felt very spiritual, and connected with various different gods and goddesses and different mythologies and all kinds of things. Some people will say that they hear things, but it will come across like a different tone of voice or something, so they know that they're hearing something that's not them. But my conversations that I have in my head have always just been my voice, so I didn't think anything of it. It's just what I've known, right? And it was my voice, my words, that kind of thing. So I have a daughter, and her dad and I split up when she was 3. So I was a single mom doing all of this stuff by myself, and kind of having my own conversation in my head one day while I was cutting vegetables. And it came through that I should get chickens. I just heard that in my voice, like, oh, you should get chickens. And I'm looking around, I'm like, that's a good idea. I don't need more work to do. I'm a single mom, please. And so just totally dismiss it. And then I start seeing chicken things everywhere. Like, oh, someone's got a coop. Oh, someone's selling eggs. Like kind of synchronicities sinking in, accepting this might be my new way of life kind of thing. I realize now that was why it was happening. And I don't know, a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, it happened again. And I realized that it wasn't saying I should get chickens. It was saying you should get chickens. It was me, but not me. Like, it was my voice, but like I was having a conversation with myself, if that makes sense. And then I made that realization, and then I wanted to test it. And because I didn't want to make it seem like I didn't believe or wasn't grateful for this conversation that was apparently happening. And I was like, okay, I'm going to ask again just to be sure that I'm hearing you right. Is this really what is best for me right now? And just one simple word, yes. I'm like, okay, I'm going to trust it. I'm going to go with it. So we went and got chickens and, got a coop and did all that. And that was my first foray into, oh, wow, someone is talking to me. I can get information that is best for me right here. I just have to tune into it. And I realized for myself, just practicing with things like that, is it comes through when I'm moving, whether I'm walking in nature, even just like cutting vegetables. Actually, a lot usually comes through when I'm cleaning, some sort of movement where I don't know if distracted's the right word, but I'm already in movement, so things can flow. And then connecting with Source, that to practice the Galactic Shaman training, there was attunements that helped strengthen that connection. There was also a practice that I learned in that training that I've heard frequently recently, actually, of other people saying that they use it as well for other things, called automatic writing. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but yeah, it's really great. And you can just set the intention, I would like to connect with Source or your higher self, and take a few deep breaths and say, I'm open to receive messages and guidance, and just start writing and see what comes through. And if you have specific questions, ask your question, and you'll get guidance that is best for you, that is answering your question, because you're literally connecting to these higher consciousness that you've set the intention to connect with. And it helps strengthen that connection, and it helps you be able to recognize when you're getting things where it's coming from.
Yeah. So automatic writing, which you mentioned on Saturday when I saw you, and then had my session yesterday and found out a bunch of stuff. So I think there's probably some automatic writing that I need to do.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
Try this method of connecting with higher self or getting information. Okay, so we did sound, we did Reiki, the galactic stuff. First of all, what is shamanism? And then, like, what's earth shamanism? I think you called it earth shamanism, and then galactic, like, kind of what's the difference?
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to explain the galactic shamanism, I'm finding, like, because it is so broad. Earth shamanism is what I would call like traditional shamanism that we know about. In the indigenous cultures, they go into the lower world, they go into the upper world. Some can, shapeshift, work with the animals, connect with the animals. They're connecting with the different elements and things in those realms. I guess, like, if you've got lower world, middle world, which is where we are, like surface, and then upper world, like with angels and ascended masters. So in those levels. With galactic shamanism, I'm able to connect way up here and way down here and everywhere, connecting into the different densities through all of them, different planets, different star systems, and I do it connecting directly with Source, so there's no interference, because there's a lot of different beings out there, and I want to be sure, not only for my own protection but also my client, that everything that comes through is pure and what is best for them. So that's why I choose to work specifically with Source. I want it to be pure. I don't want any doubt, any hesitation anywhere on the table. And so Source obviously can see everything and is able to clear out the seed point of conception of any pattern that you're trying to clear. So it's going through and clearing it out through all your lifetimes, wherever they started, including clearing out spells, curses, things like that. Patterns, soul retrievals. You can go and we can connect with your star origins, do things like that. Heal things within the body. I mean, there's also a lot of land clearing, which I haven't talked that much about, but have done, sessions with and doing a lot of personal work with the planet myself, that in which, connecting with the planet, connecting with the land, because if there was, like, for example, my mother's land, she lives outside of Luling, Texas, and I grew up there, and, it's a very nice little community. And there's 7 acres, and the back part was just wild. Like, it didn't really go back there, and it didn't ever feel good to me, but I didn't know why. It just, I don't know. I always kind of felt like I had my looking over the back of my shoulder when I would go back there. So I didn't go back there as much as I probably would have if it felt good, if it felt nice. And so, fast forward however many decades, and I take this Galactic Shaman course and learning about this, and I realized, wait, there's something there that's stuck, that's calling for help. That's what I was feeling. That's what I was, it didn't feel good. And now I realize, oh wait, it was just something reaching out, trying to get help. And someone else had stayed at the house way after I moved out and said that they saw somebody in the house, like reaching out to get their attention, that kind of thing. So I go to my mom's house and I'm like, all right, let me just clear the land here and, see what we can do, see what's going on. And come to find out, there had been these just massacre in the back of the property there back when it was like hundreds of years ago. And there was that wound, that hatred, the killing, the blood was still there. There were trapped souls from that that were still there because they had died so terribly, that kind of thing. So just helped basically create space for them to release and return to source and be free, and make an offering to the land, and everything was so much clearer and lighter and beautiful there. So that's another aspect of the galactic shamanism that can be done as well.
Yeah, I'm a little familiar with the land clearing or land blessings, things like that, and because I'm building a house, so I'm like, I need to get you to come out to my lot and see if my land is
that
happy.
would be amazing.
So if it, like, this was specific, right? You kind of knew that there's something there, but if somebody is clearing, I read this on your website too, like if there's just something that feels off in your home or the land, even somewhere you've lived for a really long time, like kind of what's the process, or what do you recommend for, can people do it themselves, or they need someone like you?
Typically you need someone who can connect with them and connect with a higher place for them to go, right? Or if it's just the land and it's not necessarily trapped souls, who can clear and transmute the darkness that's there, the density, the stuckness that's there. So typically you need someone who's got that training and gift to be able to handle it. But yeah, it can be, if you feel like it's haunted, which isn't the right word. I don't think it has such a negative connotation, but if you feel there's something else going on, that you want to clear, and usually it's just those souls I've found are just reaching out to someone who is more sensitive, who can tune in and feel that there's another presence there, because they want help. They're just stuck. So basically I help free them. Yeah, I mean, I've worked with people who there was something weird going on in the land, or with throughout their family. They may have owned the land, the property for generations, and there were just a lot of negative things that happened to their family over the years. So that we were able to see and clear a lot that happened there. If you're having a hard time selling your house, there's something attached to the property that's blocking it, you know. So it could be any number of reasons.
How if it's a new place and not that you want to clear it, but you want to ask for permission to move in? Is that a thing?
Absolutely. And even if it's new, you can clear the worker's energy and that kind of thing so that it's just yours, you know. Not that their energy is bad, but you want it to be your space, right? So just get a fresh start, that kind of thing. And yeah, and talk to the land and set whatever your intention is if you want to work with the land, for if you have specific ideas. And basically, like, if we work in collaboration with Mother Earth, there's nothing but abundance. So it's amazing if you have an idea that you want to do and support the land or work with the land, or, you know, grow something there. Just creating that dialogue and asking what she would require for that to happen, that kind of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely feel called for my lot, because I put a temple space in there for the work that I do. I want to grow teas and herbs and flowers that will bring in butterflies and, you know, maybe have chickens.
Yeah. Oh, I just got chills. I love that.
So I want to ask for permission, but also a blessing. Like, we can always ask, right? I think.
Yeah. Be curious and just ask. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no, you don't have to ask in a specific way. I mean, always coming from love and respect is good if you're conversing with anybody. But yeah, you don't have to, there's no trick to connecting with spirit or the earth or your angels, you know, and just ask. Just start talking. Mother Earth, hey, how are you today?
Yeah. Well, now that you said that, so people listening, this all may be, some of this pretty out there, honestly. Some of it will be very resonant for a lot of people. So I just keep it open, right? Whatever people are listening and what resonates, keep it. If not, maybe you'll get it another time. But what are some things that people can bring from your experiences into their daily lives now? Because you're in Austin, and not everybody can come to your sound baths, though I would recommend it if they're here, or to fly in. Honestly, it's amazing, or to do a session with you. But how do people, like, what's kind of some of the first steps? What do you recommend they start with on their healing journey with some of the modalities that you work with?
Yeah, we kind of touched on maybe talking about mantras earlier, and that, I think, is something that is way more powerful and important than people realize. It's, you know, a form of sound healing, but even if you're just saying them internally to yourself, it's super, super powerful for a couple of reasons. One, you're literally programming the water in your cells, because water is like liquid crystal. So like your quartz crystal, you program it with your thoughts. And then the other aspect of that is our thoughts create our reality, because everything we think about, we give our energy to. So, you know, with that said, it is important to think about be conscious of what you're thinking about. And so in using mantras, and you want to keep them short and sweet, and you can have a list, you can go through one or two that are calling to you at that time and just say those over and over for a few days or weeks, however long. And you're literally aligning your cells to the vibration of that mantra. Say, I am worthy. You're aligning your cells, your body, to where you can lock in and hold the frequency of that mantra all the time. So theoretically, we just need to say it once. However, we have other things that distract us, or there's other distorted programming, or we have an experience that makes us question our worth. So what I recommend is, if something, say there's a person specifically, or a pattern you've noticed in various relationships where you don't feel worthy. The opposite is true, and that becomes your mantra. I am worthy. And so you can use it as a powerful healing tool by literally saying it all day, every day, talking like 1,000 times a day, until you can hold the feeling of that for an hour. And then keep saying it all day, every day, till you can hold the feeling of I am worthy for half a day, like, 4 to 8 hours. And then keep saying it, keep going, I am worthy, until you can hold that feeling all day. And then you can just say it, once or twice a day to stay in alignment. But the key is locking in until you hold the feeling of that mantra, of that frequency all the time.
Is it recommended to do it in like meditation, like with the beads, counting it 108 times? Or is it like we were talking about the movement when you're moving to say it, because that's when things are flowing? Or really just whenever you think about it and it doesn't matter?
Yeah, whenever. I mean, that can be like a meditation kind of thing while you're walking, while you're cutting vegetables. If you're stuck in a mental loop, you can make the choice to break that loop and be like, okay, I'm going to use this mental energy that I've got going on right now and use it for something that is going to help me. And mantras are amazing. They do the trick.
Is there, and you may not know the answer to this, or you can ask source or whatever. So what's the science? Because our voice is a vibration, but we don't need to use our voice. It's even just the thought of it, my understanding of the mantra, even if it's in your head and you're not saying it, it's still doing all that it needs to do. Is there like a science behind it, or is there, we don't have to know the science, but what is happening?
I think it's because of what I said earlier. Is the bottom line is that anything we give our focus to, our thoughts to, we give our energy to, and that is what is creating our reality. So if you're saying I am worthy all day long, that is your reality. And as far as how long it takes to catch up, it just depends on what your vibration is and how much you hold that higher vibration for your physical reality to catch up. The higher our frequency, the faster our manifestations can come in. So aligning with these higher truths, with mantras, is helping you rise up in frequency, which means, higher vibrational experiences can come in faster to meet you. And we're magnetic beings. And so say a friendship is, you and a friend aligned and a few years ago and really great friends and had lots of fun together, and you're doing your healing work and going to sound baths and doing all this awesome stuff, raising your vibration with every little prayer and mantra that you do. And this friend isn't, not for, without judgment, without criticism, she's on her own journey, or he, and just isn't rising as fast as you are. So that, creates a pretty good vibrational gap in which, at a certain point, I don't know what the threshold is, you aren't even going to be able to communicate with each other because the frequency will be so different. And frequency is akin to consciousness. So if you're at a higher frequency, you're also at a higher consciousness, and this person just can't get it, depending on what you're talking about sometimes. And it's not bad. It's just, that's their journey. That's their choices that they've made. Maybe that's where they stay for a long time. Maybe they choose to rise up based on inspiration of all the work that you're doing. Who knows? The key is for you to keep going because it's your journey. So this person goes off, does their own thing. But what that also does is create space for higher vibrational relationships, experiences, jobs to come in as well. So we just have to keep focusing on our own journey, our own healing, and we get to experience heaven on earth more and more because we get to experience more and more high vibrational experiences.
Yeah, I think it's hidden in the word matter. Like if you make it matter, it becomes matter. Like if you watch the news and that starts mattering because you're like hearing it and seeing it and believing it, then you're mattering that. It creates the matter of it. But if you avoid that stuff and you focus on love and whatever, then you'll matter that instead, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I've not thought of it that way. I like that.
That word. There's so much hidden in the etymology of our English language.
Oh my gosh, so much.
Hidden in plain sight. So, at the topic of forgiveness, when we were talking about the interview, you had mentioned something about forgiveness. Since we're in this vein of mattering, right? That forgiveness, I assume, it raises our vibration. Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, forgiveness is like a superpower. I mean, not forgiving someone creates a toxicity and poisonous environment within us. Forgiving someone creates just like this, I don't know, exponential healing powers, not only for you, but it emanates. And so anytime we have any sort of hurtful experience, they accumulate. You can kind of think of it like layers of an onion. And every time we do a forgiveness prayer or practice, you're literally peeling off these layers of hurt, of old wounds, of old experiences that you're still connected to or tied to that are holding you down, holding you back, because they're still there even if you can't see them. And so what that does is creates more space, and it's almost like all of these things ultimately create more space. The Reiki, the sound healing, forgiveness, even mantras, because you're reprogramming the old with new, with more space. So anyway, doing forgiveness, you're peeling off these layers, creating more space for love, for light, for higher vibrations, for more of yourself to come in. Really, really potent, powerful way of healing. And it's in no way about condoning bad behavior. It's about freeing yourself from that experience. So I love using the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono prayer. It's so powerful and simple, and it's also about responsibility, because every interaction is a two-way street. And
Do you want to say what it is so people know?
yeah, I've gotten to where I think I say it in a different way, like backwards. So
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Please
I
forgive
love
me.
you.
Thank you. I love
I'm
you.
sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Yeah.
I've heard it said a few different ways, but I think the four pieces, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Like as long as all four pieces are in there, I think the prayer is full, is whole.
It's good. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Um, so it's so powerful. Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to say while you're going to sleep, if you're having trouble going to sleep, and that will just put you in such an open, forgiving, relaxed state that you have really, really nice, peaceful sleep. So ideally, we say it for ourselves initially, because we all have our role to play, and there's so much self-forgiveness that we need to do. And then say it for whoever comes up. If you run out of people, this is another nice way, because even if there's something, say, from first grade that you don't remember, that somebody else said, or that you did, it hurts your heart, and that hurt is still there until it is consciously cleared. So a nice practice you can do is, if you're not quite sure, but you want to heal more, you're not quite sure what to do, you can send it out to everyone who's ever hurt you knowingly and unknowingly, and everyone you've hurt knowingly and unknowingly, so that you can just clear more and more layers. Let it all go.
Yeah, that seems like a really powerful mantra. If people don't really have anything specific they're working on, just that alone can be the one to start with.
It's amazing. Absolutely.
wrap up and we're getting toward the end, is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should have asked you, or something you just want to share that we didn't get to today?
I don't think so. We touched on a lot of great stuff. The Reiki and the mantras and the sound healing and forgiveness and all kinds of good little nuggets.
Yeah. How do people find you? Do you work with people? I guess you do, because you said the Reiki you can do over Zoom or whatever. But how can people find you, connect with you, and the services that you offer?
Yeah, so my website is Varusha.com, Vurusha. And then on social media is Shayna Blackmar Healing on Instagram. And there's, links there to connect. And everything except for a sound bath can be done. Those can be done virtual, but I'm not offering them virtual.
Can be done virtual. Speaker. I feel like it would have to be a special speaker or headset to really.
Yeah, well, I've got the different equipment, but I need another person because I can't play and flow and focus on adjusting things at the same time. I've tried it a dozen different ways, and it just is not as good.
Yeah.
Unless there's another person who can help. So shamanic Reiki, God code healing is the galactic work. What else? Land clearing. There's also some do animal healing that can be done virtually as well. And it's the same thing in that I'm going into the quantum field, connecting with the animal's higher self, and finding balance, healing wounds, asking what they want, and that kind of thing.
Beautiful. That's kind of in the Reiki vein plus Galactic, I imagine, same sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we didn't touch on that. So amazing. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. See you next time.
Bye.
This has been a call to healing. I hope Shayna's perspective on sound, energy awareness, and the power of intentional practices like mantras and forgiveness offered something meaningful for your own journey. To learn more about her work in Reiki, sound healing, and shamanic practices, you can visit her online at www.varusha.com. Varusha is spelled Vurusha, and explore the offerings that resonate with you. A Call to Healing is supported by Senavida, helping practitioners spend more time in service and less time in the back office. Until next time, I am Melanie McDaniel, and I hope you have a blessed day.